Hi everyone, I'm Joyce Strong, host of the Totally Well Show. Before we begin, I want to give a big thank you to my mentor, coach, and sponsor of the Totally Well Show, David Meltzer. David is the host of the #1 entrepreneur podcast, The Playbook, a top 100 business coach, author of the #1 new release, Game Time Decision Making, and was named Sports Humanitarian of the Year by Variety. But he prefers to be known as the CEO who goes around helping people. Learn more about David Meltzer at www.dmeltzer.com and text him at 949-298-2905 to get notified when he is in your area hosting a meetup. Follow him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at David Meltzer. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Totally Well Show. Hello everyone, welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, personal development, helping people, and all the things it takes to help you live the highest quality, most fulfilling life. I'm honored today to have as my guest Mike Moosbrugger, who is a former D1 college and professional football player, author, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and podcaster, whose goal is to help others embrace their pain and live their best life. Let's roll on into the show and unpack this powerful episode of the Totally Well Show. Hey, Mike, welcome to the Totally Well Show.
Hey, Joyce, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited to get to know you better. I like to tell a little bit of how I got an opportunity to interview you and meet you, and it was through our mutual friend David Meltzer.
Yep.
So I want to do a shout out to David and thank him for helping me to learn more about you and wanting so much to learn from you. So
he's the best. I appreciate him as much. He's a mentor, a friend, a buddy. He's my priest, my rabbi, my significant other some days. So no, he's the best.
And stand-up comedian, don't forget that.
He for sure is. He for sure is.
So yeah, I was so impressed when I heard your interview with him and just the way that life happens. You know, I know you and I have chatted before about how life just happens and we're born. You know, it's what do you do with how do you learn from those circumstances around you?
Sure.
So I didn't know if you had something you wanted to share with us about that.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure, really, Joyce. I think for me, look, we all. You said it wonderfully, right? We're born. Everyone has something. It doesn't matter what that something is. We all have trials. We all have tribulations. Things are just going to happen to us. And regardless of the fact that we're, all in this lovely world, hurtling through this crazy rock and space together, right? We all have our own individual worlds. So just because something is a big deal to me doesn't necessarily mean it's a big deal to somebody else. But that also doesn't mean that it's any less important, any less traumatic, any less of those things. So I never, I find a lot of times folks get into sort of almost like a competition with how bad they've had it. And it just, everybody has it bad. We never know. And we never know what's going on with someone else. So, from my personal experience, I was fortunate, kind of the all-American kid growing up. I was okay at football, so I was blessed to get a scholarship and play in college and play a little bit professionally thereafter. And during my senior year at university, I had a wonderful family. Parents came to every game. My brother came to every game. And I lost them to a drug-related accident. Both my parents and my brother at the same time, halfway through my senior season. So here I am, a 21-year-old kid, right, dreaming of playing in the NFL, getting ready to graduate from Wake Forest University. And the three most important people in my life were just taken from me with no rhyme, no reason. Now, almost 20 years later, I still rack my brain to try to make sense of it. And I know that I never will, but that's my own demons. But, it's people get shocked, I think, Joyce, because I say it's the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it's also the best thing that ever happened to me. And what I mean by that is this. So as I went through this, I made the huge mistake initially of thinking, okay, I'm the last male of my family. I have two sisters. I'm the big, tough football player. I can handle this. I don't need any help. I don't need anyone for everything. I've got this. So I pushed all my pain, all my sadness, all that stuff down. And I didn't address it. I just thought, let me be stoic. Let me be that strong, silent type, right? I'm a football player. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that ultimately led to lots of depression, lots of self-doubt, lots of self-worth issues. My football career ended on an injury that led me to take some painkillers and then take a little more painkillers, and that led to injectable painkillers. And before I knew it, I was a full-blown addict, hiding it from everybody in my life. And it got to a point where I just couldn't take that pain anymore, Joyce. So I wrote a note, took a gun, squeezed the trigger, and said, that's it, it's time for me to go. Well, obviously that didn't work out because I'm still sitting here. In some cosmic universe, God looking down on me, someone blessing me, the magazine of the weapon was not in when I pulled the trigger. Slipped out. I subconsciously hit the release button, but for whatever reason, Joyce, it fell out and I was still here.
Wow.
I sat there till the following morning and I cried for the first time, like a baby, cried my eyes out, dumped everything down the toilet, and I proceeded to detox myself in private on my bathroom floor. And I tell everyone, I found myself on my bathroom floor, right? Going through that pain and letting it out. And I learned a tremendous amount by that. And I sort of hid it about myself for years because I was embarrassed about it. I thought it made me weak. I thought, this isn't what people would expect. And I was ashamed of myself. And through Dave, he gave me the courage to kind of start talking about this incident that happened to me and gave me a large platform to reach other people. And that's really where I found meaning in all of this. I don't necessarily think that anybody has to go through tragedies like I have in order to find some really applicable life tools that they can take out of what I went through. And for me, it provides meaning to what happened to my family. And for those other folks out there that are struggling or they're dealing with something, there's a reason. I'm sorry, I can't tell you what it is, but there is a reason that it's happening to you. I hate that it's happening to you, but one thing that I learned categorically, and I believe this is a universal truth, Joyce, regardless of what your pain is, you can't do what I did, which is push it down, ignore it, and act like it's not there. It will, you of all people will understand this analogy. It's like a cancer. It will mutate, right? It will come back. It will invade other avenues of your life that it has no business being a part of. So we are not set up as humans to embrace pain. We run away from it. It's completely counterintuitive, right? If something hurts, we stop doing that. In this case, I can tell you, every failure I've ever had in my lifetime is the culmination of the only reason I'm successful at anything, right? It's falling on my face, learning, using the tools that I've learned from David, some of the things that I've learned from my own life. And that failure is what led me to embracing your pain. And what I mean by that is, whatever your pain is, maybe it's a situation like mine, maybe it's you're being bullied at school, maybe whatever it is, don't run from that. Embrace it. Pull it in tight, right? It becomes like an armor for you then. And then things can't hurt you, right? You can process it. You can deal with it in a healthy way. While you're embracing your pain, there's one big component that it took me a long time to figure out, and I regret it. And I hope that folks listening to this will do the opposite, which is, while you're embracing your pain, don't be dumb like I was and think you can do it on your own. Ask for help. Ask for help. It's humbling, but I assure you, by and large, the people that you think likely will judge you or they'll have a negative opinion for you, they will be the most empathetic, kind people you've ever dealt with. So if you get to a point where you're stuck and you don't know what to do, I beg you, just ask for help. And if you can't, find me on LinkedIn, ask me for help. I'm happy to talk with you and we can chop it up. But truly, I do believe we have to embrace that pain, Joy, and we have to ask for help. And if you do that, every single thing that is hard in this lifetime, on the other side, it's better. So if you're a religious person, for instance, we go through life as hard in order to get to heaven. Well, life's hard because heaven's better, right? So whatever we're going through, right, our workouts, Joyce, they're really hard. But on the other side, there's abs and there's fit and there's a healthy lifestyle, right? So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, these challenges that universe, God, life throws at us, we just have to embrace them. We have to realize it's trying to teach us something. We have to open our heart and treat others with kindness, love, and empathy, and ask for help. And I assure you, you will get through it. You're going to be okay. For your listeners, there is absolutely nothing unique or special about me. Every single one of you, if you are struggling, can do exactly what I did. Because if you would have asked me October 29th of 2001, would I ever get through what happened to me? Joyce, I absolutely would have said no way.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah.
You're all wonderful and amazing. We don't know what we're capable of until we're forced to be capable of.
I see that. I think we've talked about this before, where I call it rock bottom syndicate. There, the group of us that have been through some tough times and realized, hey, wait a minute, there's a message in this bottle.
Absolutely,
You
there
know?
is.
And
There
we
is.
open up the pain, we open up that message, that thing we were so afraid of, and follow it.
And when it really, for me, when I started to really talk about this, and really just let people know just how far I personally had fallen and how embarrassed I was and ashamed I was of my own behavior, because I thought I was stronger than that. That's just my brain trying to mess with me, right, Joyce? It has nothing to do with strength. Even when that incident happened, I had no lack of love for life. I love life. It's fantastic. It was just that I was in so much pain. I just couldn't take it anymore. I just wanted it to stop. I
Mhm.
didn't want life to stop. I wanted my pain to stop. And I think
Right.
for so many people who have this pain and they end up doing something foolish like I was going to try to do, it's a knee-jerk, short-term, just mistake right in that instance. It's not that they don't want life. It's that their pain is greater in that moment than their desire for life. It's
That's what I
just about
learned from Dr. Goulston. I talked to you about Mark
that.
Goulston. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the message he said, is that, and he interviewed Kevin Hines and the Stay Alive video.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he says. It's just that, to make that pain stop. And I think people go to the extreme, but do even,
Yeah.
slow suicide, slow things to
They,
stop the
they
pain.
do. It's a really slippery slope,
Yeah.
and I think it all comes back to just pain. And I can tell you, having tried just about everything, having tried working out excessively, having tried opiates excessively. I mean, you name it, I've tried it to get out of pain. The
Yeah.
only way you get out of pain is twofold: one, you embrace it, you accept it, and two, you ask for help. Because by asking for help, other people help carry that load. There's nothing worse than being in pain and feeling alone.
Yeah.
Nothing worse. So I implore anybody, the biggest lesson that I learned out of that is, don't come from a place of ego like I did when I was younger.
Hmm.
Ask for help. You'll be shocked at how many people will help you.
Yeah, well, I certainly was and that's what attracted me to Dave. He kept saying that over and over again: ask for
Yeah.
help, ask for help. And I
Yep.
was like, that's my problem. I have trouble asking for help. And I'm so surprised how much is available out there. And
Right.
I love giving help when people ask me for help.
Sure.
So,
And I will admit, there's a component to this, and folks get shocked sometimes when I say this, but even me providing, having the opportunity to come on here and speak to your audience, speak to Dave's audience, it's such a pleasure. But it's actually a really selfish thing that I'm doing. People shake their head and they're like, wait a
yeah.
minute, why is it selfish? It's selfish because I hope people find value in this. I hope I'm giving them some nugget of wisdom that helps them in their daily lives, whatever it is. But I say that it's selfish because what I get back from telling the story and seeing other people, it has an impact on them. It helps them to overcome something, or it sets them on a positive path. I mean, it's just the best feeling ever. And it
Yeah.
brings such meaning to such a dark, dark time of my life that I was trying to forget, that now, because of Dave's listeners, your listeners, people like you, I really, truly am able to embrace my pain, because now it doesn't hurt anymore. It feels good because
Yeah.
I can help people through this. Right?
So when you say embrace the pain, and I know it's a powerful phrase, can you, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like, what exactly are you doing when you're embracing the pain? Like, can you describe that?
Sure. So for me, and this is a challenge. This was a challenge for me. So this will be a challenge for people. But again, through my experiences, I categorically believe this works. And when I say embracing the pain, the first step to embrace your pain is brutal, but loving, but brutal self-honesty. You've
Yeah.
got to be honest with yourself about what you're going through, what you're feeling. Is what you're feeling real, or is it, right? Is it your brain
Yeah.
messing with you, right? And the embracing of the pain is step one, is being brutally, brutally honest with yourself, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, Mike, this is not the way you were taught to live your life. Joyce, this is not the way. You're better than this. You know you're better than this. You're down right now, but you're not always going to be.
Yeah.
That's step one. Step two, and that's a hard process. Step two is asking for help, because invariably, just like I did, the brutal, loving, honest truth, it's a challenge. We're never going to be loving enough to each other, and we're never going to be brutal enough with our truths to ourselves. So that's why I say ask for help, because those close to you, if they do love you, they'll be honest with you in a loving way, right? So it's not a negative. But that's what I mean by embracing the pain. You can't, I used to be the guy where people, how are you doing? I'm fine. And that was it. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm fine. Good day, I'm good. Bad day, I'm good. But I wasn't. That was ego. I didn't want anyone to know that, yeah, I'm barely holding it together right now. Like I just saw something that made me think of my family, and I'm fighting back tears right now. I didn't want them to know that. And that's just my ego talking, nothing more. So that embracing of the pain is that true self-loving, where you look past the ego, you look past your brain, look at what you really are. And what you really are is a wonderful human being who's full of talent, full of potential. Don't let one instant ruin your entire life. Don't
So
allow that.
do you forgive yourself for things that
Oh boy.
embarrassed about?
I will be, again, I have to practice what I preach. So being brutally honest, I partially forgive myself. That is an everyday struggle for me. The reality of it, Joyce, there's nothing I could have done. I mean, I was away at college when this happened. There's absolutely nothing I could have interceded to do to change the outcome of this.
Yeah.
But I still have some ego, and the egotistical part of me thinks, well, maybe, just maybe, if I had known, I could have stopped this.
Yeah.
I've come a long way on that front in terms of personal forgiveness. That after you get through embracing the pain, after you've started to ask for help, that's when you really begin to forgive yourself. And frankly, even though this happened when I was 21 and I'm now 40, it's only been in about the past year that I've begun to start asking for help. So that's still a journey for me. It's taken me that long to really forgive myself on multiple fronts. Forgive myself for the falsehood of thinking I allowed that to happen. Forgive myself for being ashamed of myself for not being able to take it and doing something that would have caused a great deal of harm to other people that I love and care about by being selfish and taking my own life. So there's a lot of forgiveness that I'm doing. So and part of it is talking to folks like you. This helps me forgive myself, because I can share the story. I can be honest with people and say, I was dumb. Don't be like me. Learn from it, right? There's
Well,
tools.
I'm glad to hear you say that. It's hard because at my age too, it's I just think it's going to be a lifelong process for me to look back and just actually thank myself, that younger self, for doing the best I could with what I had and what I knew, and it got me here. It got me this far.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
David, I don't know if you've heard Dave use this term. I love it, which is be kind to your future self.
Yes.
We have to, all of us, right? We
Yeah.
have to stop beating ourselves up over just categorical nonsense, right? It's just nonsense. Like, again, I state this all the time. The negative aspects, the self-worth issues that I work through, those aren't mine, and yours aren't yours, and everyone else's are not theirs. They were put there by someone else. Right?
Yeah.
Our brain latches onto it, and then we all get stuck thinking circularly about our circular thinking, right? About those negatives. You know what no one ever gets stuck doing, Joyce? They never get stuck thinking circularly about their circular thinking about positive things, right?
Yeah.
Because all the negative stuff that's rolling around our head, it's equally as possible that all these wonderful, amazing things are going to happen, right? Yeah. So to David's point, you just don't let that negative stuff in your head, right? everything you need is out there. You just have to embrace it and get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that it is a lifelong process. You hit the nail right on the head, because for all of us, if we're not learning and we're not growing, what's the point?
Yeah.
We're dying then, aren't we? So
that's all the fun of it. You playing the game, right? Being in the game and playing the game is the fun of it.
it's experience, it's interacting, it's connecting and really connecting, not connecting on Instagram or Facebook, like actually really connecting and having conversations with folks like yourself, your listeners, and people like that. That to me is the good part of life. That's real connection. That's soulful connection, right? Money is not our currency. It just is in this material world, right? Our love, our kindness, our empathy. That's the currency that really matters.
Well, I'll tell you, we're doing this by Zoom because you're in Philly and I'm in Groton. But if I was there, I'd give you a big hug right now. So.
I appreciate it. I would take it too. It would change the entire outcome of my day. That's another little trick I use if I'm having one of those days where I'm not being kind to myself, or I'm just being negative. I don't know. I don't have my usual sort of go attitude. One of the things I try to do to change my day around very quickly is I try to do something for a stranger. And it doesn't have to be a huge act of kindness, but it could be something as you hold the door longer for someone than you typically would. Yeah. Or you help someone with their grocery bag, or you put someone's grocery cart away, pick up a piece of trash. It's such a small thing, but for those that are struggling and they're not sure, maybe they get stuck like I do, right? And they're not sure how to get out of that negative circular thinking. Do something kind for a stranger. I assure you the trajectory of your day will change like that.
Wow, that's a great tip. Mike, we have about 8 minutes or so left for the show, and I wanted to make sure I got into something you and I were talking about offline on nutrition. I work with people around nutrition. Absolutely. And concussion, helping people support healing after concussion. Mm-hmm. And then I learned this whole other side of you, that you're brilliant about this stuff, having also suffered concussions. And also, you mentioned that you had something in the works, so I wanted to ask you about that.
So from the concussion standpoint, I mean, like most football players who played at a high level, I mean, I was an offensive lineman. I've had way too many to count. In college, I graduated in 2001, so that's really when they began to understand and had really kind of discovered what post-concussion syndrome and CTE was. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they can't tell you categorically you have that until you're deceased. But I've gone to Rothman Institute. I've done the test and all those things. I have all the clinical signs of post-concussion syndrome. I'm fortunate compared to many. Mine manifests in I don't sleep very well, and I get forgetful, but it doesn't manifest in impulse control or violence or anything else along those lines. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah. But for myself, I can tell you that there's some things that I've done that have helped me. And I think first is we have to look at nutrition, right? Food can be the cure. Big medicine is wonderful and it's appropriate in its time and place. Is it the absolute answer? No. And neither is alternative method, right? It's a combination of the two, but first and foremost, our real brain, and you know this, Joyce, our real brain is our gut, right? Yeah. So I challenge everybody. Let's get our gut flora, our probiotics, our stomach acids. Let's get them squared away. Let's get you healthy in your stomach first before we even worry about getting healthy in your mind, right? The fallacy is people think our stomach follows our brain. Mm-hmm. It's the other way around, right? So for me, taking a holistic approach to my brain has helped me. So what do? I keep my fish oils really high, right? That fat soluble for brain neuroplasticity.
Yeah. High DHA?
High DHA, always, at least 2,000 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that has been really pronounced for me is making sure that you get the appropriate amount of macronutrients and essential aminos in first thing in the morning. So you alluded to this. I actually, with my partner, have a product that will be coming out in about 90 days or so that will address just this. So I will shoot that off and let you know about it, of course. Not that it's top secret, but it's a little early at the moment, but I'm really excited about it. It will be all organic. I can assure you, you don't need to be an athlete to take this. This is for overall holistic health, Joyce.
Yeah.
This is not for bodybuilders. This is not for football players. It's not just for, moms at home. This is for everybody, children, old, elderly, because these are the
It
things
sounds like
that
it's food.
it is. And really what it is, it will allow us to get all of your macronutrients, all of your essentials in first thing in the morning. You'll start your day off right. And having done this now myself for, at least the past 3 years, I have absolutely noticed a difference in just everything about my life. I'm sharper in the morning. My concussive symptoms are they gone? Absolutely not. But they certainly are much more manageable than they used to be. I'm not quite as forgetful. I don't get sort of, at the end of the day, I don't have these energy drops where I'm just exhausted. I run at a pretty high rate every day, and my mental acuity is sharp. So, and I've noticed on days I take them, days I get a little lazy, and maybe I take it a little bit later in the morning, I notice a pronounced difference. So for folks that are dealing with these sorts of things, the first thing is, let's get your health right. Let's get your diet right. And you begin there. Everything else actually is pretty easy afterwards. The big thing is diet, right?
Yeah.
Get rid of those cravings, get rid of the need for sugar and all that sort of stuff. And boy, I will tell you, your eyes get brighter, you get sharper, you're more energetic, you're happier, your outlook on everything changes.
I'm always so impressed when I hear an athlete speak this way, because I know how important the games are, playing in the games or the gym and all the physical part of it. But you're working so hard there. Why not do, this is going to make all the difference. And then after injury, even, once a person has had an injury, it's such a simple solution.
And this is, I would counsel everybody, the old school days of coaching where, suck it up, tape an aspirin to it and get back in there.
Yeah.
They're still out there, but they're really gone. And for young men, women, or athletes who are professionals right now, or even your weekend warrior, if you have a head injury, don't mess around with that, right? If you have a knee injury, that kind of stuff, they're bad. But we can replace knees, we can replace shoulders, we can fix those things. But we only get one brain, and you're not fixing that. So brain health is paramount. You have to keep those things going. So, kudos to the NFL, the NCAA, and Little League. They're doing a really great job, and there's wonderful, wonderful people who are doing a ton of research on this. So I have no doubt that they will begin to get this stuff figured out. But all of us have to take a responsibility for our own holistic health right now. And there's a bevy of information out there for everyone to do this. It seems daunting. I promise everybody, it's not that hard at all. It really isn't.
Well, I'm really glad you and I are taking the lead on talking about the nutrition piece of it, and letting people know that, a lot of it's very medical and imaging and all that stuff and protective equipment, but really having opportunities to talk to athletes about what they can do, even pre-concussion, to support their brain and make their brains be more protected, pre-injury.
Yeah, inflammation for all of us is our enemy, right?
Yeah,
Whether you're an athlete or not. Inflammation in the body, inflammation in the brain, that's what starts a lot of these problems. So number one, if we can get people, we can get their stomachs healthy, we can get their food intake right, you'd be surprised. Things, even for myself, changing the way I eat, changing my diet, things I thought I might need surgery on, or certain aches and pains, they're gone. So that tells me that's a side effect of the types of food I was bringing in were causing inflammation. It was causing a systemic reaction within my body. So we've got to be smart, and we've got to, when we eat something, we have to figure out how it makes us feel. Because our gut, right? Your brain isn't the one that has cravings. It's the bacteria in your gut that has cravings, that says, yes. Is it willpower, or is it those gut biomes that say, hey, go down to the store and get that box of chocolate eclairs, right?
Yeah.
It's the gut biomes, right? So if you get those healthy, those cravings, those stress reactions that happen to all of us, myself included, they will go away very, very quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm hearing from the top scientists I listen to. So it's really refreshing and great to hear you say that. And I'm excited about your new product
Oh,
coming.
I appreciate it. So about 90 days or so, beginning of the new year, and you'll be one of the first to know. Of course, we'll get them up
All
into
right.
the
Well, let me
hands
know
of
what
your
I can
athletes.
do to help you share that info.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
So yeah, we have about a minute or so left, and I just wanted to see if there's anything else you wanted to share before we wrap up.
For me, it's just, again, my point message to everybody is embrace your pain. If you're going through something, it doesn't matter the perception of how big or how small. I can tell you this: you will get through it. It's going to be okay. You might not be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. There is light. I promise you. If you're struggling, ask for help. Do not do what I did. Ask for help. If you do that, I promise everybody you're going to be okay.
That's awesome. Mike, how do people find you? How do they reach out to you? I know I got you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm
Got
on
you on speed
LinkedIn.
dial.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, I have eschewed social media for years, but that is changing. So my business partner is setting my page up as we speak, and all those things. So I will link it to you at Total Wellness Coaching, and if you would put it out for me, that would be great. So if
Oh, you
anyone,
bet.
and I can add value for any of your listeners, please just have them reach out. I'd be happy to do so. It'd be a privilege.
You bet. Well, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate your coming on the Totally Well Show and hanging out with me and let me give you a virtual hug. Ah,
Anytime, Joyce. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for what you're doing.
yeah, you're welcome.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.